You know the kind of penny most folks toss into a tip jar without a second thought? Some of them are quietly sitting on desks, jingling in pockets, or buried in drawers, worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. We're not talking centuries-old relics here. These are modern-era Lincoln cents, hiding in plain sight. And the ones we're covering today? They're not just rare, they're elusive, mysterious, and packed with the kind of stories that make collectors stop mid-sentence. Let's kick things off with the 1995 US 1 penny. At a glance, it looks like any regular cent you'd get back in change from a coffee. But if you know what to look for, it transforms from ordinary to extraordinary. The 1995 penny story really starts with a mistake, one that mint workers didn't catch right away. This coin gave us one of the most well-known and widely discussed double-die errors of the modern era. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of these coins, but only a tiny percentage came off the press with a doubled image on the obverse. And not just any part of the coin, Lincoln's profile looks normal, but the lettering? That's where it gets interesting. Liberty and In God We Trust both show clear, unmistakable doubling. You can spot it with the naked eye if the lighting's right, but a decent magnifying glass makes it obvious. That doubling is what sets this coin apart. Now, unlike older double dies that took decades to gain recognition, the 1995 double die cent was caught early. Coin collectors and hobbyists jumped on it fast, and by the late 90s, it had developed a reputation as the poster child of modern-era coins. And while it's not ultra-rare in the way that some 19th-century coins are, finding one in top-grade condition? That's another story. Most of them ended up in circulation, bouncing from wallet to cash register for years before anyone took notice. The value of these coins has a wide range, depending entirely on condition. A heavily circulated example might only net you a few bucks, interesting, but nothing groundbreaking. But in mint state, especially those graded MS 65 and above by PCGS or NGC, they can command $50, $100, or even more. One particularly clean specimen graded MS 67 red fetched over $1,100 at auction. That's a four-figure price for a penny that was minted just a few decades ago. And collectors love it not just for the value, but for what it represents. It's a coin that makes beginners pay closer attention to pocket change, and it's one of the few modern cents that experienced collectors still chase after in high grades. It's also been a sort of gateway coin for many who got serious about the hobby. More than a few collectors will tell you, the 1995 double die is what first pulled them in. One little-known quirk? Not all doubling is created equal. The 1995 cent has been the source of endless debate in online forums and coin shops because of the flood of machine doubling examples that confuse new collectors. Those are mechanical shifts during the striking process that mimic true doubling but have no added value. The real double die has clean separation and rounded edges on the letters, a telltale sign if you know what to look for. Another fun fact: the coin came out right around the same time the US Mint was experimenting with new die-making techniques, which ironically were meant to reduce the chance of double dies. Yet this one slipped through. It's a reminder that no matter how precise the machinery, human error, and timing, still play a huge role in what ends up being collectible. Condition, as always, makes all the difference. Red designation, meaning the coin retains nearly all of its original copper color, is a big factor. A red-brown coin loses some value, and fully brown examples, while still collectible for the variety, drop off even more. And when you're talking MS 67 red, that's where things start getting scarce. Fewer than a few dozen have reached that level, which is why auction results at that grade level are consistently high. So next time you're sorting through your coin jar or flipping through a dealer's tray, don't overlook the humble 1995 penny. Especially if you spot some funky lettering. What looks like a common coin could be one of the most iconic errors of the modern era, and a serious prize for your collection. Let's keep the momentum going and move on to our next sleeper hit Lincoln cent, the 1989. It's not as flashy as the 95 at first glance, but it holds a secret of its own. The 1989 US 1 penny doesn't come with a dramatic error splashed across its face like the 1995 double die, but make no mistake, it earns its spot with something much more subtle and arguably more intriguing. This is a coin where rarity doesn't come from what's added, but from what's missing. And the variation we're talking about today is one that even some seasoned collectors still overlook, the elusive 1989 D Lincoln cent with no mint mark, and more specifically, the 1989 proof-like no-s variety. It's a quiet anomaly that stirred up more than a few conversations over the years. To understand the significance of the 1989 no-s penny, we need to rewind a bit and look at how the US Mint has handled proof coins and mint marks historically. Since the late 60s, the San Francisco Mint was tasked with producing proof coinage. Proof sets from the 80s typically featured coins with a crisp strike and a small S just below the date on the obverse. That S was a stamp of pride for proof-quality coins struck for collectors. So when a 1989 proof cent shows up with no mint mark, alarm bells go off, in a good way. That happened when a few proof sets were found to contain a 1989 penny with no S mint mark at all. Instead of coming from San Francisco as intended, these rogue coins came from dies that were never punched with the mint mark. It's the sort of minting error that should have been caught quickly, but wasn't. Fewer than 2 dozen have been confirmed, making it one of the rarest no-s proof varieties known. It's so rare that some collectors spend years looking for one without success. What makes the no-s 1989 proof cent stand out, aside from the obvious missing mint mark, is its finish. These coins still exhibit the deep mirror-like surfaces and frosted devices characteristic of true proof strikes. So they're not simply struck from a business die without a mint mark. These are full-fledged proof coins that somehow skip the mint mark punching process entirely. That's a much bigger deal than it might sound at first. The no-s proof coins from the 70s and 80s are all highly coveted, and the 1989 variety is one of the last of its kind. Market value? Buckle up. These coins don't show up at auctions often, but when they do, prices are steep. One sold at heritage auctions for over $20,000, and another specimen in pristine proof 69 deep cameo condition went for close to $25,000. And that's assuming it even makes it to public sale. Most owners hold onto them tightly, knowing how few exist and how much attention the coin draws within the numismatic community. Now here's the kicker, some people have found these in proof sets they bought years ago and never opened. Proof sets from the 80s were mass-produced, and many folks stuck them in drawers or safety deposit boxes, sealed in their original government packaging. That's what makes this story so fascinating. One of the rarest Lincoln cent varieties in modern history could be sitting in a forgotten proof set right now. And it wouldn't be the first time one surfaced from a decades-old estate sale or flea market pickup. It's important to note that circulated 1989 D cents are extremely common and not particularly valuable. Even mint state coins from Denver or Philadelphia from that year aren't going to break the bank unless you're dealing with top-end MS-68 red examples, and even then you're only looking at low triple digits. But again, the no-s proof is a different beast entirely. It's a specialized variety that lives in the upper stratosphere of Lincoln cent collecting. Grading plays a massive role here, especially for proof coins. A PR68 deep cameo already commands serious interest, but PR69 is where the value really spikes. Any hint of hazing, toning, or hairlines will knock it down, so if you're lucky enough to find one, handling it becomes a whole separate conversation. Gloves, soft lighting, and a quick trip to a grading service are non-negotiables. One fun bit of trivia: the US Mint has never officially confirmed how many of these no-s coins were struck in 1989. That uncertainty only fuels demand. It's a ghost coin in a way, not officially recognized at the time of production, but now one of the stars of the era. So while the 1995 double die is a celebrated example of visible error, the 1989 no-s proof is more like a hidden gem. It takes a trained eye, a good memory, and sometimes just dumb luck to spot it. And if you do, you're not just holding onto a rare coin, you're holding onto a piece of minting history that was never meant to exist. Next up, we'll take a look at a penny that might surprise some folks, especially those who assume older means more valuable. The 1962 Lincoln cent has a story of its own, and it's not what most collectors expect. The 1962 US 1 penny is a story that defies assumptions about age and rarity. It's easy to think that older always means more valuable, but this coin reminds us that condition, historical quirks, and subtle variations can transform even a common piece of change into something worthy of serious attention. The coin comes from an era when the design was clearly established, yet every specimen carries its own nuances and hints of history. Minted during a period of American confidence and steady production, the 1962 penny carries a sense of nostalgia. This coin was produced at a time when the Lincoln cent had long been a daily companion at cash registers and bank counters, solidifying its image as both a workhorse and a silent witness to the country's evolving economy. While millions of these pennies pass through everyday hands, the best-preserved examples tell stories of circulating the face of history on metal. When you hold a 1962 cent in pristine condition, you're not just holding a piece of copper, you're holding a tangible piece of America's modern journey. Visually, the coin retains the classic design that made the Lincoln cent an icon. The obverse features President Abraham Lincoln in profile, a portrait that has become almost as American as apple pie. The careful detailing of his hair and the soft, yet defined lines of his face evoke the thoughtful craftsmanship of the era. On the reverse, you see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that invites both admiration and contemplation. It's interesting to note that, even in 1962, the memorial isn't simply a static image. Observers with a keen eye have noted how the tiny details, from the columns to the faint outlines of Lincoln seated within, lend an almost three-dimensional quality to the coin that can seem almost magical when caught in the right light. The rarity of a 1962 penny isn't immediately obvious. In circulated condition, these coins are abundant, making them seem almost too ordinary. However, collectors who have managed to secure a 1962 penny in exceptional, uncirculated condition know that scarcity is defined by the coin's preservation rather than its production numbers. High-grade specimens, especially those graded MS 65 and above by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, can be rare finds. Prices for these coins, particularly in the red or red-brown varieties, can command premiums that reflect both the coin's potential historical significance and the scarcity of such untouched examples. Auction records for near-perfect 1962 cents show prices that can jump from modest sums in the tens of dollars for circulated coins to several $100s when it comes to mint state quality. There are instances where a coin graded MS 67 red, given its low mintage survival in that condition, can even fetch prices approaching the upper end of what modern collectors are willing to pay. One of the more engaging discussions among collectors centers on the finishing and luster of the coin. A 1962 penny in full red can often appear almost luminous compared to those that have succumbed to years of handling and circulation. The difference lies in more than just aesthetics, it's an indicator of how carefully the coin was preserved over decades. Collectors often debate whether a slight patina detracts from the coin's overall appeal or adds to its character by providing a sense of age that highlights its historical journey. There's no single answer, but it's the interplay of these factors that makes each coin unique. A lightly toned coin might carry a whisper of the past, while a crisp, red specimen invites you to imagine it as it left the mint floor over 60 years ago. History adds another layer to the coin's allure. The early 1960s were marked by significant changes in how Americans viewed everyday objects. Coins, especially ones like the 1962 penny, were being circulated in an economy that was gradually on the cusp of modern transformation. At a time when the simplicity of daily transactions was being challenged by burgeoning innovations, this penny served as an anchor, a constant reminder of tradition and continuity. For some, owning a 1962 cent in mint condition is a tribute to that era of steady craftsmanship and unpretentious design. It's a nod to the way objects could be both utilitarian and sentimental, combining the functional with the historical in a way that few modern items do. There's also an interesting twist when it comes to era variations in 1962 pennies. While most of these coins were struck without incident, there have been accounts of minor variances that can significantly affect value for the keen eye. One such variant includes subtle die clashes that may accentuate details of Lincoln's profile or even gently shift the appearance of the Liberty inscription. Although such anomalies aren't common, when they do occur and survive in high-grade condition, they can cause the coin's value to spike. The collectible community is particularly adept at identifying these slight irregularities, often weighing them against the overall aesthetics and date to determine just how special a specimen might be. The market for 1962 pennies, much like other coins, is driven by a mix of availability and sentiment. Circulated coins from this year can be found in abundance, and for many, they serve as a nostalgic reminder of a simpler time. However, for collectors who set out to find one in uncirculated condition, a coin that maintains its original luster and design, it becomes a cherished prize. Grading plays a significant role here. An MS-63 might be a fine example for casual interest, but once a coin reaches MS-65 or above, it tends to attract attention from more serious collectors. The difference in grading often comes down to minor imperfections that even a seasoned eye would notice. A coin that preserves its original strike, with barely any wear on the design lines or details of the memorial, is a testament not only to the mint's craftsmanship but also to the care with which it was treated over the decades. There have been some memorable auction moments involving 1962 pennies that resonate in the numismatic community. One such instance involved a specimen that, despite being from a widely circulated year, had been preserved in an exceptional state. When it went under the auction hammer, the bidding soared beyond expectations, sparking conversations on forums and at coin conventions around the country. These moments serve as a reminder that rarity isn't just about the number of coins minted, it's about the journey of each individual piece and the story it tells about care, preservation, and history. Collectors often reminisce about the joy of discovering a 1962 penny tucked away in an old coin album or coming across one unexpectedly in an estate sale. That element of surprise, stumbling upon something valuable among the everyday, adds an emotional layer to the collecting experience. And while some might focus on error coins or other high-profile rarities, the humble 1962 cent stands on its own as a testament to enduring appeal. It's a coin that has been part of everyday life for millions, yet in the right condition, it transforms into something that commands respect and admiration. In its final analysis, the 1962 US 1 penny is much more than just a piece of copper. It's a chapter in the unfolding story of American minting, one that reflects the balance between mass production and individual chance. Whether you're a seasoned collector who appreciates the subtle differences that separate a common coin from an extraordinary specimen, or you're simply passionate about preserving pieces of history, the 1962 cent offers a quiet thrill. It challenges our assumptions about what makes an object valuable and reinforces the idea that sometimes, the most compelling treasures are hiding in plain sight. Bringing together these fascinating chapters of modern coins, from the dramatic era of the 1995 double die, through the quiet anomaly of the 1989 no-s proof, and culminating with the storied 1962 penny, we see a tapestry that speaks volumes about craftsmanship, timing, and the unpredictable nature of minting. Each coin tells its own story, inviting you to look closer, appreciate the finer details, and celebrate the serendipity that makes collecting such a rewarding endeavor.